we were to ask members around the globe to describe you in a sentence, what would they say about Rami?
Depends who you ask.
We did choose one of the most meaningful and beautiful industries, but it's also one of the toughest ones.
I think there are different challenges throughout one's career, and if I was to pick one that was very challenging, my career is split into three phases. The first 15 years is really building up, learning, proving yourself. Second 15 is where you are in a leadership position. And then the last 15, that's where I am now, it's really thinking about the next generation.
In your career, maybe you had a moment of doubt of should I leave the industry? What did you tell yourself?
Tough question.
So welcome Rami Sayess, welcome to this session of the Les Roches podcast. A pleasure to have you with us today. Rami Sayess, President of Hotel Operation for Four Seasons Asia Pacific. A real honor to have you with us, and myself, Giovanni Odaglia, I'm the Managing Director for Les Roches, Crans-Montana. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you, Giovanni, and nice to see you. Always nice to be back and reconnect with you.
Thank you so much, Rami. We would love today to discover a little bit about a bit more about you, about your career. I think that you hold a position that each and every single one of us that study in this place for at least a second we dream to have. So how does it feel to be here back again?
It's always nice to be back. Parts of me feel young because it brings back memories from school days, and the other part makes me feel my real age when I, see the student of today. But it's always nice to come back and see where Les Roches is today and how advanced it has gone over the years, while maintaining the basics of focusing on the practical side of the business, making sure the students remain humble, and keeping that family feel that Les Roches always had. So it's always nice to come back and see that and experience it again.
Fantastic, thank you. And Rami, you and I and all the people listening to us not only share the love for this industry, we share also the diploma from Les Roches. Who was Rami Sayess when you stepped in for the very first time in this place?
Well, Rami Sayess was nobody, and he's still a nobody. He was a kid. I was hardly 18 years old when I came to Les Roches. It feels like yesterday, but it's not. And but I still remember the very first day I arrived here. The school was much smaller. We were just over 100 students, whereas today we're talking in thousands. So it was really like a very small family. But the memories that I took from here stay with me till today, and the experiences as well. Les Roches really helped me with my, to build my foundation, if I can say, of my career. Taught me a lot of basics, not only on the professional side, but also on the personal side. Things have changed, have evolved. It was much stricter in the past. We were not allowed to grow beards, and we had to be, very well groomed. I mean, still today, but in a different way. Things have certainly changed, I would say. But I think, what stayed with me over the years is what Les Roches stands for. You say Les Roches is a way of life, and it's true, because it makes you really appreciate the importance of people, of teamwork, of being part of a team. Because, in this industry, it's never about you. It's never about a person. It's never about the position. The position is just a reflection of a job that you do. But what makes a difference is what value do you add? And that's something that you learn here at school. But certainly it was nice to come and mix with different cultures, different people, with different understanding of what hospitality stands for. And when you leave Les Roches, you all leave somehow with a similar understanding. And I think that's the beauty of Les Roches.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful to hear. And then you mentioned that in Les Roches you started to build obviously your foundation. Your career has grown exponentially. And what were the key decisions or moments that propelled you forward from where you were when you left Les Roches to where you are today?
I think the key decisions were few. One is to be flexible, to be mobile, and to be willing to listen and learn. Because when you leave Les Roches, some students, they think that's it. I've graduated from one of the best schools in the world and I am ready. That's wrong. Yes, you're ready, but you're ready to start. And that's very important. And I see this even more with today's generation. They're in a hurry. They want to become millionaires overnight. And if that's what you want, this is not the right industry. It takes time. And I would say, if you're passionate in hospitality, stay in this industry. Otherwise, you'll have certain disappointments because it does take time. It requires a lot of patience. And you have to realize that despite the fact that you went to one of what is recognized one of the best hotel schools in the world, this only gives you the foundation to start. So you have to be willing to be flexible in terms of, do you go into rooms, do you go into food and beverage or finance, wherever your passion is or wherever the opportunities are sometimes. And how mobile you are makes a big difference. Are you willing to move around the world? Are you willing to move countries? And it's not always easy. And thirdly, to realize that even if you're a leader, you have to continue to learn, you continue to grow. You never stop to listen, because that's the only way for you to grow, to evolve, and to be able to add value as you grow in your career.
Thank you. We heard the word flexibility, the word mobility. We are today in a society that changed tremendously from 15, 20 years ago. It keeps changing. We keep hearing this importance also to have a sort of a work-life balance that for each and every individual may signify something different. Our industry, the hospitality, we devote ourselves to the pleasure of others. We do it with a smile, we do it with passion. It's a very thin line to understand where it is the work-life balance. We were just discussing before of how much you travel to be able to deliver what you deliver. What is a message that we can give to the next generation, also on the expectation, because hospitality is not a 9-to-5 job, is not a 3 days working from home job. What can you give us as an insight on that topic?
Work-life balance is a nice title, but in reality, it varies from one person to the other. So what is balance for you might not be for me. So what's important is for each person to identify what is the balance for me, and I make sure that I deliver on that. Meaning, so if I take my personal example, I have moved 16 countries during my career. Out of this, 12 times with my wife and 9 times with 3 children. So that is not easy. It sounds great. It sounds exciting. I have friends who say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky. You travel, you move." Well, every move is a challenge. You're changing friends, countries, language, schools, and it's never easy, especially on the family. So in my case, the balance was my wife. So she balanced the part that I couldn't. So, as a team, we worked well together and we managed to actually make those moves successful and turn them into something very positive, where the kids had exposure to different cultures. And when they went to university, they were ready to fly on their own, which was great. So that's the positive side, because I found that balance. So the balance is not always about taking time off or going on vacation. It really is, what is it for you? To others, it's different. So fast forward now, and I'm in a corporate role and the kids have left home, the balance becomes different. So you really have to continue to evolve and adjust. What is the balance for me today? What would make my life complete and those that are important to me? So people sometimes overuse that title, work-life balance, but the meaning of it differs from one person to another.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And wow, 16 countries. It sounds exciting. I must say, but I can imagine what does it mean moving around. I also had the opportunity to change 6 or 7 countries in the last 15 years, and it's true that moving with family, it brings it to a different level. But
it has its beauty. I mean, today, I have, I would say, friends and acquaintances almost in every continent. My kids have friends all over the world. The world becomes smaller. You feel. I've just come from Miami yesterday, and the week before I was in Bangkok at the conference, and it makes you realize actually the world is somehow small. But but then you need to find again your balance. How do you adjust between different time zones and stay awake and stay alert and all of that? So you really have to find what works for you. Whether it's a workout or you go for a walk or you read a book or whatever it is, or you speak to family. you need to find your own balance in every step of the way and in every stage of your career, because things do change, of course, and we get older, and there's a lot of natural things in life that change as well.
We talk about change. We talk about moving across the world. So 16 countries. God knows how many culture you had the pleasure to work with. What was the most challenging role and why?
Look, there are different challenges throughout one's career, and my case is no different. So I've had different challenges, from flooding in Bangkok to explosion in Beirut, and several things along the way. But I would say if I was to pick one that was very challenging, probably the explosion that happened when I was based at the Four Seasons in Beirut, and it was a very, very difficult and emotional period of my life.
Thank you for sharing this. I can only imagine what it must have been. We were here. I was here when it happened, and we had students or interns over there as well. So it must have been a very difficult moment. And thank you for making us part of your experience on that. Four Season is a brand that stands for excellent. I also had the great honor to work for the company and to open the property in Kuala Lumpur, where I had the pleasure to meet Isadora Sharp. So I had the pleasure to work with gentlemen and ladies like you. What has been the proudest moment for you to work for such a company that truly believe in his golden rule?
There are many moments. If I was to pick one, which really, for me, was almost the definition of that culture, it's the day I was being presented to become a first-time general manager. So I was based at the time in Amman, Jordan, as a hotel manager. I got a call. They were presenting me as a GM to go to Riyadh. So I went through the process, and my last interview was with His Royal Highness Prince Al Walid, who owns the property. And of course, he also at the time owned half of Four Seasons management company. So I'm in my room 45 minutes before the interview. My mobile phone rings, a number that I didn't recognize. So I pick up the phone, and he says, "Hi, Rami, it's Isadora Sharp." I had never spoken to Mr. Sharp at the time. I've been almost 2 years in the company, and I was like shocked. So I said, "Hello, Mr. Sharp." And then, so basically, he spoke to me for about 20 minutes. And he was just saying, "I know you're going for an interview." And he gave me a little bit of history about the hotel, how, the partnership started with the prince and what the expectations were. And it was such a nice experience. Like this is the founder and chairman of the company calling me. I was like a nobody, like I'm the hotel manager applying first time GM. It really showed me how humble he is, and it really explained to me the importance and the meaning of that culture, that every person in this company is as important as the other one. And he made me so comfortable and so relaxed during that call. And then it was a very engaging discussion. And then at the end of the call, I said, "Mr. Sharp, really thank you for the call. And I can tell you that the worst thing that can happen in this interview could turn out into the best." He said to me, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I go into the interview, the prince doesn't like me, I don't get the job, then you can offer me a better location than Riyadh." So he started laughing. And, obviously at the time, Riyadh wasn't like today. Riyadh today is very different. And he said, "If you go into this interview with this attitude, the job is yours." And sure enough, I got the job, and the rest is history. But for me, that call stayed with me. 20 years later, I still talk about it, because it also showed me as a first-time GM how to be humble, how to care for people, how to think of somebody on my team who's going for a meeting or an interview where I could guide them. I could take the time to sit with them. I mean, if the chairman and founder is taking time to call me, it means I should do the same to the people. He didn't tell me, he didn't have to tell me, but his call to me, those 20 minutes gave me so many hidden messages and opened my eyes to better understand the culture in a very natural way.
That's beautiful. You talk about culture, and it's a beautiful thing. And I remember that we had the pleasure to share some of those maybe hidden messages as well. because it's true that one of probably the most beautiful moment and highlights of the opening of Kuala Lumpur was actually when Mr. Chapman's wife came for the opening dance. So when we opened, they were there, and never in our life had the pleasure to be there with my wife and do the opening. Also an alumna of Les Roches, and to share that moment with those people that created such a culture, such a company, it was very special. So I can imagine what you're saying, and it's beautiful, because it's true that at the end of the day, a lot of companies speaks about the motto, speaks about vision, speaks about mission. That one we all need to have one. However, the real culture and what stays in the true core, it's a difficult thing.
And the same thing applies with guests. It's the unscripted gestures. It's the unscripted acts of love, the little things that the employees do. This is what stays with the guests, those memories that they take away. It's not what we say, it's what we do. To your point about every company, of course, it's easy to say things, talking the talk is one thing, but walking the walk is different. And that's what makes the difference.
Absolutely. And one question that I was asked from several students when I told that I would have had this pleasure to meet with you today is that in your career, maybe you had a moment of doubt of should I leave the industry, should I leave hospitality? If you had that moment, what did you tell yourself to stay, and why did you decide to stay in?
Throughout my career, leaving the industry never crossed my mind. I mean, I was quite determined from the minute I got into this industry. I actually loved that industry from day one. Everything I worked, whether it was food and beverage, rooms, or sales and marketing, I actually enjoyed, because it was all part of the learning. There was no routine. It was fun. And I was just basically exploring different parts of that industry. Where there downtime, of course, there are times where you feel better than others. It's normal. We're human. But I never really thought of leaving the industry. I always thought, I was always determined, to reach my goals. And I always set short-term goals, but also had, like everybody else, had a dream. I never dreamt of being president of hotel operations, to be honest with you. I mean, for me, initially when I was at Les Roches, for me, I used to think, I'd love to become a GM in a Four Seasons hotel, for example. For me, that was my dream. And it's okay, as you mature and grow, your dream can grow with you, and that's fine. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. It depends where your passion is. And what helped me again to stay focused is that balance we spoke about earlier, where my partner, my wife, was always supporting my career with every move, because that's important. Because again, if I use the Saudi example, we moved there 2007, many years ago. She could have said no, and maybe this would have been a bit of a block in my career. And she was very supportive. That gave me the mobility, the flexibility. So you need to find that balance, and I had that balance, and that certainly helped me to grow the career. So I was always focused, but I do understand with the new generation. I experience it sometimes even with my son, who graduated from Les Roches, and sometimes he says to me, I can do something else and I can make more money faster. Well, it's not all about the money. It really is. You want to do something that you enjoy. You want to find your passion, but you need to also sometimes be patient and give yourself the time to reach your goals. And every time you reach a goal, you will get that excitement, which will make you more energized to reach higher goals. But again, it differs from one person to the other. So my advice is stay focused on what is meaningful to you, where your passion is, what you enjoy the most. So when you wake up in the morning, you're actually excited to go to work. You don't feel like, oh my God, I have to go to work. That shouldn't be the case. So it's always been the case for me. I've always enjoyed what I did. I continue to enjoy what I do. And that's what makes it fun, and hopefully will continue that way.
Thank you for sharing this. And obviously, in your career and now in your position, you have the opportunity to lead so many teams across the globe. What has been a little bit your personal leadership philosophy, and what can you tell us more about that?
Throughout my career, obviously, I've held different positions. In the senior leadership position, I was general manager for 16 years, regional vice president for 12, and I've been now president of hotel operation this is my third year. So depending where you are in your career, I think it's important to realize how you can add value. So, and I always say, my career is split into three phases. The first phase, or the first 15 years, is really building up, learning, proving yourself. Second 15 is where you are in a leadership position, where you are running an operation, developing people, learning how to deal with owners and with complex situations. And then the last 15, or 15 to 20, that's where I am now. It's really thinking about the next generation. How can you pass on that experience? How can you share, those difficult moments, or those fun moments, and try to explain more to the new generation what to expect from this industry. Although things have changed, have evolved when it comes to technology and everything else, but it's important for them to hear those stories. I think storytelling is very powerful. The last thing you want to do is to go to a class and tell those students what to do. I think that's wrong. It's much more beneficial to share your experiences, real life experiences, what worked for you, what didn't work, what were the high moments, what were the low moments, because in reality, this is also going to happen to them. So I find it important today, where I am, is to really work closer with people, give enough space to the leaders who work with me and report to me, so that they can actually find their way as well, while being there for them, to guide them, support them, not necessarily micromanage, but to be more of a guide and support. I'm fortunate to be working with some of the finest hospitality leaders in the industry, be it general manager or regional vice presidents or area senior VPs. We have great people. So you have to really also empower and allow the space for them to manage and to do what they do best, while being there to make sure that you're doing your role and supporting them and preparing them also for their future role as well in this industry.
I love the analogy of the 3 times 15, the building up, the run the operational, and to now you have the opportunity to influence the next generation. We always say that life is changing, the world is changing, hospitality is changing, but at the end of the day, the core of why we do hospitality, which is again to make a difference in a beautiful way to others, remain the same. Do you have a message that you would like to give to the next leaders, that on how they should be, that maybe differed from when you started, or not?
Yeah, we talk about technology, we talk about AI and all of that. And, I take you back to when I was at Les Roches, so back to 1987. It's a long time ago. And so when I finished my first year, and we used to do service first year, kitchen second year, and administration third year. It changed a little bit now. And so after my first year or my second year, I was doing an internship in Geneva at the Intercontinental Hotel at the reception. That was one of the top hotels at the time in Geneva. There was no Four Seasons at the time. There was no Mandarin and Rosewood and all these companies that came on later into this part of the world. And there was no computer. We had no computers at the time. And at the reception, we used to have what we called the rack, or the card decks. So basically, let's say if you had 200 rooms, you will have on that rack, you had 200 cards, one for each room, and you would actually use a typewriter to put the room number, the guest the name, arrival, departure, etc., and the passport number. So imagine, that's how we used to operate. Now, fast forward a few years later, when I became director of rooms, I was working in Mauritius, and they had computers by then. And we said, now, the experience is going to change, because we don't need to spend time printing those cards. So everything is computerized, etc. And it's going to change everything. And we depend less on people. And that's not true, because what happened is the computer helped the process to become easier, which gave us more time to focus on the guests. And when you fast forward to today, when people say, will the robots take over? Is AI going to replace people, etc.? I don't think so. I think it's going to make it even easier. So even when you think of a restaurant, in the past, you had to take a pen and paper, take the order, write it down, go to the kitchen, give the order to the chef, and come back. Now you just, you just print, you type quickly on a small handheld machine. the order goes to the kitchen, everything works, which means gives you more time to talk to the guests, to look after their needs, to pay attention to the guest likes, dislikes, so you can maybe take note in their profile for the future, etc. So I think we need to be smart how to use technology to the benefit of the industry, not to replace the human touch, but to make it actually even a better experience. So you have more time. You don't have to waste time on certain things, such as menu engineering and reviewing menus or looking at cost and numbers. Let the technology do that for you, so you can more focus on the guest. Because when it comes to luxury, this is what the customer is looking for. They want to be recognized. They want to be looked after. They want you to call them by name. To do all of these things, you have to have the time. So the technology can be an enabler, but not a replacement.
Mm-hmm. It's a very valid point. We were discussing just a few months ago when we introduced a new reservation system for this restaurant that we are now open to the public here in school as well. Because one of those things where one of those points we wanted to answer was exactly the same. We have returning guests from the community, and how beautiful it is just to know who they are, if they want water, if they want a sparkling or still, and something like that. And it's true that you remember Les Roches, it's a rotation. Every week you have 10, 15 new waiters. You every season you have a new instructor, so even a new restaurant manager almost, and hence how can you do that? But it's true that there is still a lot of resilience in adapting or adopting maybe AI in everything. We maybe you've seen when you enter now in the school, we have now have a little robot over there to serve a coffee, and I still have a good 90% of parents that come and see me. They take a picture, they're all excited about it, but says, "I saw my son or my daughter no longer have to do the bar rotation." So no, it's exactly the opposite as you mentioned, Ram. It's that it enhances an experience, but the human touch and the recognition and the in that moment of true with you and your client, it's probably one of the most beautiful things that this industry has to give us.
It's important to talk to the new generation about it. I mean, I'm fortunate to have lived in different generations. So when I tell my kids that, I didn't have a laptop first year at university, they don't believe me. Like, what do you mean? So how did you, for them, they cannot connect with that. And I remember actually the laptop was introduced in my last year at Les Roches, and that was new and it was heavy, right? And not like today. So it's good to have gone through that, so you know how to operate with or without. But for the new generation, for them, they don't understand. I know when I tell my kids, I didn't have a mobile phone when I met your mom, and we couldn't actually call each other. We, on a mobile phone. So yeah, I mean, this is a fact. But so you have to realize things are evolving and changing, but you also need to be prepared. How to continue and focus on the human touch. When it comes to hospitality, that's what the guests expect. That's what they pay for.
Absolutely. And talking about the leadership and the philosophy, if we were to ask members around the globe that had the pleasure and the honor to work with you to describe you in a sentence, what would they say about Rami?
Oh, wow. It depends who you ask. I think I give you a good example. When I moved from Doha to Beirut,
Yeah.
my assistant sent a handover to the new assistant in Beirut, which I didn't know. I found this out about a year later when she felt comfortable enough to tell me. And she said to me, "You know what? We're having," actually, it was Christmas lunch. And, Christmas, usually I take my assistant for a lunch just to say thank you. And during that lunch, after a couple of glasses of wine, she said, "I have to tell you, when you moved here, I was terrified." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because I heard that, you have high expectations. You're a perfectionist. You like everything to be, on time and this." And then she said, "Your assistant, Owen, send me a very detailed handover." I said, "Oh, really?" She said, "Yeah, it was like 97 pages and with pictures, how you like things done, and the meetings and So I said, "Okay." She said, "But the best part of it," she said, she wrote a line at the end. She said, "The first few weeks working with him, you are going to be in tears because you don't know if you're doing enough, and he asks for too many things, and he wants things to be in a certain way, etc. If he wants to meet a guest, for example, or he wants to write, for example, welcome cards to the guest, how he wants them done and when they should be ready, etc. All the details." And she said, "The first few weeks you're gonna be in tears because you don't know if it's good or not. And the last 3 weeks when you eventually find out that he's leaving, you will be in tears again. So I think once people understand my style, we work well together. I've had the pleasure of working with so many people more than once. They say I'm firm but fair. I'm with me is what you see is what you get. I believe in working with people who are different than me, so we complement each other, and also I believe in having fun at work as well. So we play hard. We work hard. We play hard. We celebrate success, but also we celebrate failure together. So I would hope that that's how they continue to describe me, and we continue to learn. No one is perfect, but I've been fortunate to have worked with so many great people, some of them who became friends over time, and it's nice sometimes to hear about their success stories. That's what brings really pleasure to me, to have worked with someone and somehow impacted their career, even in a small way. When they come and say, you know what, oh, I worked with you, now I am in this position. It's not because of me, but the fact that we work together, and hopefully I was able to impact or influence their career, it gives me the satisfaction.
Thank you. You say about influence in the career is very important. It's also the pleasure to work with people that have the experience that you have. You mentioned this analogy of the now you are in the last 15 years a little bit. So what are you thinking that will be the next at the end, let's say, of this 15 in between brackets here? What would you like to do? How are you planning to continue this dream of yours that I can hear in your words that to inspire the next generation?
I'm happy with what I'm doing now. 20 years with Four Seasons. I would hope to retire with Four Seasons one day. I don't want to retire though. I'm still young to retire. I don't see myself stopping work anytime soon because, as I said earlier, it's something I enjoy. It's more of a hobby than work. And also, it's an exciting time for us as a company. We're evolving. We've done a lot of things in the last 2 to 3 years in the sense of reorganizing how we operate as we continue to grow. We have a very clear 5-year and 10-year strategic plan of which I would like to continue to be part of. So today, if you ask me, where I would see myself is to continue to add value where I am. As long as I'm adding value and enjoying it, I don't see myself doing any other job. But you never know what the future holds. So when I joined Four Seasons 20 years ago, as I said earlier, I didn't know how far I will go, but the company has never let me down. But it takes two to tango, right? I have to give the 80% or 90%, and the company will give me the 10 or 20, and that applies to everyone else. But it's nice to where I am today to see, as I said earlier, so many talent, some of them that I recruited from Les Roches and other schools that are growing their careers. We were recently at the Rooms Conference in Bangkok, and I met some of the graduates from Les Roches and from Glion and other schools who are really now in managerial positions. They're sitting around the table, they are in that conference room, and it really made me so proud to see them. And it's like, because I remember the day I sat with them here, up on the second floor, interviewing them as students, and now they are part of the Four Seasons. So I would like to do more of that, find that talent, because we continue to grow. We need talent, and we can't think of better places to look for talent than a place like Les Roches.
Thank you for sharing that. And if I understood correctly, I heard one of my colleagues that you say once that you would love also to coach and support the next generation. It's very much in line with what we discussed until now. And what drives that desire, and how are you planning to implement that next part of you as well?
Well, I was fortunate during my career to have people who coached me, who were mentors to me, and they played a big role in my career. So it's really my duty to pay back. For me, because I know the value of that mentorship if it's really done properly. And I think it's important that people with my experience do the same. So whether it's in an informal way, which I do sometimes, or even in the future, maybe collaborating with a hotel school or doing this through work, Doesn't matter which way or form, but I think it's important and it's something that I enjoy. If you may recall, for about 10 years, I used to come to hotel schools every year with my colleagues to recruit students. And part of what we used to do is to even go to the classroom and talk openly with the students and do a Q&A, answer their questions, right? This is part of coaching. This is a form of mentoring as well. So there's different ways of doing it. And it's something that I enjoy doing, and I hope to continue to do, whether through my work or later on in life, when I'm maybe not working full time. But that's a long way still.
It's a long way still. But until then, and even after, you know that Les Roches is home for you, and it will be a pleasure and an honor to discuss more in details about this one, because I think it's very important. 1 year and a half ago, I have reintroduced, for example, the roll call that we do here in Les Roches, and it's something that I take it from our colleagues in Marbella as a best practice that they do very well. And it was like in your time or like in my time when I studied here, where we all put into a line. We all say good morning, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, sir, and we discuss about the importance of the discipline behind the hospitality, the discipline of this industry, and what does that mean. And we try to give inspirational messages, or we try to give to set a little bit of our tone, is that yes, we did choose one of the most meaningful and beautiful industries, but it's also one of the toughest one, because as you mentioned, it will eventually repay, but you need to be patient.
Yeah, and without knowing, you become somebody's role model in life. I mean, look, I came into this industry. I was the first in my family to go into hospitality. Okay, my dad was a travel agent, so it's in the tourism, but not the same. But then fast forward, then my nephew, Rami Jr., ended up coming to Les Roches. He graduated from here. He's had a great, career with Rosewood. My son, graduated last year. He's now having a good career with Mandarin. So, so you become, without knowing, you open the door to others as well. I mean, this is just one example, but I know so many of my colleagues and friends, they also had family members or friends who were inspired by what they saw. Now, it doesn't mean they have to have the same career and they have to have the same dreams or goals. No, but indirectly, you actually inspire people to get into this industry and you encourage them. And sometimes coaching is also to tell people, maybe, or guide them not to stay in the hospitality, depending on their personality, depending on their passion, so it's not about brainwashing people. It's really about opening their eyes to what to expect and try to help them find their true passion.
And we talk about obviously the changes, and with everything that is upcoming next, and with generation that overall of understanding of career, patience, and time management obviously is different. Do you think that the next generation of leaders is ready for what is coming and for what will come? And what would you say to them that they will still need to learn before they really go for such a career?
Look, I think being ready, maybe we are never ready at the time, but when things happen, we eventually get there. It's human nature. But my advice would be the same advice that I received when I joined the industry. Number one, be humble. Number two, be a good listener. And number three, be open to opportunities, because it's a vast industry. When you come to Les Roches, for example, it doesn't prepare you only to become a general manager. You could become a finance expert, you could be a marketing expert, you could be in PR, you could be in engineering. I mean, that's the beauty of this industry. I always give the example: if you go and study to become a dentist, well, you can only be a dentist. You can't 7-8 years later say, now I become a brain surgeon, a heart surgeon. Well, then you have to go back and study. But if you come to Les Roches and you say, okay, I want to be a GM, and then, after 6-7 years, you say, what, my heart is in human resources. You could become a vice president or executive VP of HR for a company. Absolutely. Or you can say, what, I'm more into marketing. Or maybe you're at a certain age or certain stage of your life where you want to have a family. You don't want to have an operational role, but you want to be in commercial. You can also shift to commercial if you have what it takes. So it opens so many doors. So I think this is a great school also, a great industry to go into when you're not 100% sure what you want. Because a lot of kids, a lot of young, I don't want to say kids, a lot of young boys and girls, when they finish school and they're about to go to college or university, they're not sure what they want, and that's okay. So if you come to a place like Les Roches, for example, it opens so many doors. If you want to end up working in a luxury brand but not hotels, you can. You want to work, as I said, in any of the other disciplines, also opens doors. So I think it's quite it's quite a good way for you to explore what you like and what your real passion, because not everyone knows what they really want when they start university.
Absolutely. I mean, it's true that here we always say that a student from the moment they start to the moment he finishes his journey, which is just 4 years, which compared to a career is just a very little part of it. It changes his or her ideas 10 to 15 times. But if there was something that you have earned in these 30 and plus years of experience in the role where you are today, is there something that you would have loved somebody that to tell you when you started the school here on the very first day of school?
That's a good, tough question. um, look, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that I took with me from here, from Les Roches, and they stay with me. Is there something that I would have liked to know earlier? Yeah, maybe how fast time will go. It just flies. And I think we take it for granted when we are young that we still have time, and we're still young, and when I look today, when I'm sitting here, I just cannot believe where the last 35 years since I graduated flew by. When I look at where my children are, they all left home now, all doing very well, and again, it's like a wake up call. So I think maybe it would have been nice if somebody told me, enjoy every moment, because every minute that goes doesn't come back. Don't take anything for granted. Don't think that things last forever, whether they are positive or negative. Eventually everything ends and then you move on. But again, I'm sure that young people listening to this, they will not listen, because I didn't listen when I was younger. But it's true. It goes very quick, so make the most of every minute. Enjoy every experience. There's no bad experience. If you enjoy working with someone, learn from them what to do. If you don't enjoy working for someone, learn from them what not to do. I have a lot of people telling me, oh, I don't like my boss. I said, well, you know what? There is a reason why you're working with him or her. Learn the things that you don't like and make sure you do them better or do them different. So don't be a victim of your circumstances. Turn it into a positive, learn from it, and be a better person.
Since you're talking about inspiring young leaders and enjoying every moment, and they resonate a lot in my own point, I have the pleasure and the honor to be with you here today. Then I will ask you a personal advice, then that maybe all of our audience can also learn from. I'm also a young leader. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm 36 years old. I have the honor to lead a campus that is in the top now top two in the world for hospitality. And it's true that managing time is probably one of the most difficult things. It's a discussion, as you mentioned, you had the balance with your wife. I'm trying to have that balance with mine, because it's true that it's a success that is shared. If not, would not be absolutely would not be possible to be where we are today. But one things that I noticed that continuously growing in the career, and still being attached to operations, still being attached to the people that make the dream come true, it's very difficult to devote the right amount of time to each and every single person. So to a young GM, because the end of the day, Roche is a little bit like an hotel. What is your advice to find maybe a better equilibrium for the team and for the company and for myself?
Well, first of all, don't take anything for granted. Continue to work on every aspect of life as if it's the first time you've done it, every single day, whether it's related to your wife, your children, or your colleagues at work. You're 36, I'm 20 years older than you. I remember when I was your age, father of three, first time general manager, basically looking at my career and just moving at a speed, sometimes maybe too fast, maybe leaving behind others. That's something maybe I would say be careful, watch out for. Don't assume that everybody is going to be going at the same speed. So you need to slow down maybe, or it depends, or if they go faster, you have to, accelerate your speed, but make sure you're on the same wavelength, because time goes by and then you wake up one day and say, wow, I've maybe taken certain things for granted and overlooked certain aspects of life, and I shouldn't have. So make sure that you grow together, and you also think about 10, 20 years, where will you be when the kids are not there anymore as a couple, and how you're going to cope with that part of your life. So, and that's why it's nice to talk to others and learn from their experiences. It doesn't mean the same thing will apply to you, but it's, again, it's life. We are all human and we go through ups and downs. So I would say stay connected to reality. And what is working today, don't assume it's just going to work in 10 or 20 years, but make sure that you work towards it. You prepare for those days, just like you would prepare for, at work, you prepare for crisis, you prepare for good days, and you prepare for bad days. You should do the same when it comes to your personal life as well.
Thank you so much for this moment of truth, this moment of honesty with me. I truly appreciate it. And before we close, two just very interesting and fun question. Les Roches in one word for Rami Sayess.
Well, first of all, congratulations. I know yesterday you won the award of Les Roches Way of Life. This is what Les Roches is all about: recognizing people, recognizing talent, appreciating those that make a difference. You are one of them, Giovanni, and you should be very proud. I had the pleasure, obviously, knowing you now for a few years. We met last year at the graduation of my son when I was here, and then every time I visited before. So it's nice to see that you are being recognized as well. That's what Les Roches stands for. It's a place to bring people down to earth, give them the foundation that they require, prepare them for the career. And I insist on the word prepare, because it's just a start. And then letting them fly, giving them the wings that they need, and also recognizing them and staying close to them with such gatherings like the reunion every 2 years to bring people together. Also allow for that connection to continue and hopefully help the new generation through these contacts. I mean, I was yesterday at the event at the Petit Paradis and talking to new students. Some of them actually did an internship with us at Four Seasons. They came to say hello, asking for advice. And this is the kind of thing that I think will keep Les Roches as a family, and will keep it as one of the best hotel schools in the world.
Thank you so much. And finally, if you had to write a letter to your younger self, what would be the first sentence?
Take me back to Les Roches.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that note, I think is the most beautiful way then to close this moment together. Rami Sayess, class of 1989, president of hotel operation for Four Seasons Asia Pacific. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for sharing all of this beautiful insight with us and the community of Les Roches and friends.
Thank you, Giovanni, and thanks for inviting me for this podcast. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
But make sure that you work towards it. You prepare for those days, just like you would prepare for, at work, you prepare for crisis, you prepare for good days, and you prepare for bad days. You should do the same when it comes to your personal life as well.
Thank you so much for this moment of truth, this moment of honesty with me. I truly appreciate it. And before we close, two just very interesting and fun question. Les Roches in one word for Rami Sayess.
Well, first of all, congratulations. I know yesterday you won the award of Les Roches Way of Life. This is what Les Roches is all about: recognizing people, recognizing talent, appreciating those that make a difference. You are one of them, Giovanni, and you should be very proud. I had the pleasure, obviously, knowing you now for a few years. We met last year at the graduation of my son when I was here, and then every time I visited before. So it's nice to see that you are being recognized as well. That's what Les Roches stands for. It's a place to bring people down to earth, give them the foundation that they require, prepare them for the career. And I insist on the word prepare, because it's just a start. and then letting them fly, giving them the wings that they need, and also recognizing them and staying close to them with such gatherings like the reunion every 2 years to bring people together, also allow for that connection to continue and hopefully help the new generation through these contacts. I mean, I was yesterday at the event at the Petit Paradis and talking to new students. Some of them actually did an internship with us at Four Seasons. They came to say hello, asking for advice. And this is the kind of thing that I think will keep Les Roches as a family, and will keep it as one of the best hotel schools in the world.
Thank you so much. And finally, if you had to write a letter to your younger self, what would be the first sentence?
Take me back to Les Roches.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that note, I think is the most beautiful way then to close this moment together. Rami Sayess, class of 1989, president of hotel operation for Four Seasons Asia Pacific. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for sharing all of this beautiful insight with us and the community of Les Roches and friends.
Thank you, Giovanni, and thanks for inviting me for this podcast. All the
Thank
best.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a selfish kind of person with a soul trying to fly. I aim to break the laws of nature.